Oh, you gotta love these times, right? This current state of affairs, quite fascinating, isn't it? There's threats, there's lies, there's censorship, there's division between people, there's differences being accentuated. And I guess the question is, do we have to be stuck with it? Yeah, is there a way forward? Well, there's an old proverb that says, when two ways exist, take the third. Let's have a look at that. I thought I'd just have a look at what's going on right now. And I've sort of been titling this one, Loving These Times. So that might seem pretty weird, right? And there's with this current situation, there's threats, there's lies, there's censorship. There's all sorts of things we don't understand. There's uncertainty, there's division, there's differences between viewpoints, and some of those are very polarized viewpoints. And I guess the question is, do you as a chiropractor have to be stuck in it? Do you have to be a part of this agenda, or can you get separate to it and see it from a different perspective? Is there a way forward? Is there any way in which you can shift the dynamics of your world from your worldview and your practice and your service to your practice members right now? There's an old proverb that says that when two ways exist, take the third. And I want to explore that just a little bit here and maybe stimulate some thinking that might be useful. So this situation that we're in right now is it seems like it's almost like there's no way out. You either are or you aren't. You do or you don't. You stay registered or you don't. Particularly in some jurisdictions, others are certainly a lot. There's been a lot more shift. So you may take a certain view. And you do take a certain view. I mean, all of us have a certain view on life and how life is and what's right and what's wrong. And when we look at this with a different perspective, with a third viewpoint, then we can move to a higher level. We can move to a bigger picture. And I think that's what we owe it to ourselves right now. We owe it to our practices to go to a bigger picture, to see things from, if you like, that 30,000 foot view. Now, 30,000 foot may not be big enough for this one. 30,000 foot is just in an airplane, crossing a continent or crossing an ocean. What we might need to do is to go to a lunar view, go to the moon and look back at the Earth and say, wow, what a magnificent looking little planet that is set up for human existence and for human coexistence. We may even want to look at the relationship that we have to the rest of our solar system. And so if we extract ourselves back a little bit further and we look down to the solar system as it's set out, that we've got this rock that's called the Earth, and it's in this orbit around the sun, and it's a process that we don't have any choice about, that we're in this natural sequence of evolving, and we're here. This is all we've got. We've got this little rock that we're clinging on to. So maybe that helps to change the viewpoint. So this whole thing came up for me actually this morning when I was doing a consult with one of our chiropractic clients, and Harry was on the point of leaving the profession. He said, well, I don't know whether it's really worth me being in here anymore. I think, things have just gone so stupid. It's just so out of, away from what I believe. It's not what I want. And, I said, well, I'm just going to give up. And it was interesting actually, because as we spoke, that resignation then started to yield underneath it an anger for what's going on in the world at the moment that is essentially out of Harry's control. So this is a situation which I think a lot of people are feeling. It's like there's stuff going on that we can't control, we can't affect it. And so I thought, well, let's dig a little bit deeper in this one. And so, because recognizing that the anger is a caring, anger is a passion. Anger actually drives lots of efforts and lots of really good things, if you like, come out of the state of being angry, being repulsed by something. So we unpacked that a little bit further and looked at what is his passions. What is it that he really loves to do? What is the and obviously chiropractic was like right up on top. I just love to work with my people. And so what else? And we unpacked it to the point where he started to recognize that music was a huge part of his life, that music carried the information of the ages for him, and it does for all of us, I think. Music is an international language, and where we started to look at some of the old songs from the 60s and 70s and 80s, at least in my memory and his memory, and that started to unpack some areas that he hadn't maybe explored in recent times. He'd been sitting on this idea that music is just sort of something he might do when he gets on his guitar and plays a few chords, but it had a lot more dimensions to that. So this then led to discussion around, well, Bob Geldof saw a situation and in 85, 84, and created Live Aid. It was something he was angry about, so he created that talent show, if you like, of Live Aid. So what was the story with that music coming to the surface and allowing people to rise to a bigger picture? So then we delved a little bit deeper into what is the structure of this? What is the structure of anger, for example, of a situation, right? So you can apply that to a situation that's happening right now, just insanity or anger or stupidity or whatever it is that is your driving passion. So there's a passion there that we don't want to ignore. We want to bring it to the surface. So that brings energy to it. That gives reveals our mission. It reveals our values. It reveals what we stand for. So as a chiropractor, there's a certain viewpoint that you have on life that may be a bit different to others, but it's when it gets violated, it brings up a discord. It brings up this resonance that is just not right, and so this is the passion. It's not a negative, it's a positive. So we can turn it into a positive. So then we take it from there, and then we look at, well, what is the situation that's going on here within our world, and we say, well, it's sort of a group think. There's sort of this agenda that people are just buying into, and they're not thinking about it. They're not thinking about it from a big enough perspective to really make sense. And so it's an irrational discussion that tends to be carrying on, that is sort of polarizing because of an absence of critical thinking. And so getting people on board or oneself firstly on board with a critical analysis of what is actually going on in society right now and in practice right now. So this critical thinking then, commonly known as science, and science has been disregarded in so many different areas in terms of engagement in recent times. So we've taken on a position of believing rather than of investigating science. We don't see science necessarily as a vehicle. So if we could take that scientific phenomena and start to think critically, look at the research, look at information, and be very open and generous with that. Be critical of it, but not in a divisive way, or not in a one-track way. It's like, hey, let's look at the information here. And so he realized that, okay, well, he was really irritated, so his words, pissed off about the whole thing. But when he started to unpack it in a way that was critical analysis, it was like, okay, well, there was a certain logic to this, and that supports why I'm doing anger. So then said, okay, well, look, how does it go then when we take it out there to our people? What happens there? Because out there right now, there's huge polarization. There's people fighting each other, and people with very, very different opinions calling for each other's scalp. So this polarization is not very useful. So we then looked at, well, okay, what happens there with the human nature? Ultimately, is inclusive. Now, whilst aberrations of human nature could be exclusive and one tribe against another, when it comes down to it, we are an inclusive social animal. We're a being that likes to connect up with others, and so get with groups, get with like-minded people, and listen. You see, so that the energy of this connection that we can have is to listen to each other, and particularly divergent views. Be able to listen to others' viewpoint and see the common threads, see the commonality. So then you start to realize, well, hey, this is a soothing thing for me. I think if I see every person, even though they may be doing things or saying things that are opposite to what I believe in, if I can see them as having the higher intent, having a love for life, a love for humanity, sure, maybe coming from fear, but that's okay. To be inclusive of that, and to have a soothing environment that we can all communicate together. So he started thinking of ways in which he could take his love for music into this phenomena, and turning that anger into a structure of songs, a structure of rhyme, of verse that's put around music for him, was a way in which he could now start to soothe firstly himself, but then soothe the people that he's are in his audience. So this is evolving as we were talking. It was really interesting just to observe the shift that was taking place here. And so that then said, well, okay, what do we do about the bigger picture? I mean, there's all this political yelling and screaming at each other. And I was watching a TV show last night. Not a show, well, it was a show, but it was actually a news show. But there was two opposite viewpointed people being interviewed by one moderator, and they were just yelling at each other. I mean, yelling, you could not hear what either of them were saying because of the yelling. It's just non-stop yelling, and the moderator was just absolutely flabbergasted in the middle. He couldn't control the situation. So that sort of typifies the times, I think, that we've got this going on now. We could also have as contrast here, and like for example, in the last couple of days, a Sydney restaurateur or restaurant owner who has, I think, about 30 restaurants, had made a call to action for his team and for his business by saying that I'm going to include everyone in my restaurants. I don't care whether they're left or right or vax or non-vax or whatever the situation is. I'm gonna wait until the government says, yeah, people can dine together again, and I'm going to close my restaurant until then. So he estimated that he'll lose about $10 million a month on this, but it was so important to him. And he said, I'm here to support my team. I'm here to support their livelihood and their health, and I'm going to do whatever is required to make sure that this synergy is working with our patrons, with our people. So this I think really demonstrated the fact that it is possible to still that groupthink on either side and the political yelling, and take a third road, take a third way. And the interesting part about this was he was arrested, and there was he was protecting his staff, and so there was a charge on interfering with justice or interfering with the normal passage of accessing information, because he was protecting the staff from the police's requirements for ID. So there was, but he was willing to stand up there and to be accountable. So this is a world in which we are having these opportunities right now. We do have, as a profession, an opportunity to stand up, to step out, and to make a difference, to actually be leaders within our tribe, and that's not just our local tribe; it's a tribe of humanity. And so, as an individual, though, it is about as we turn that anger into a critical analysis and into a scientific rationale that then soothes people and soothes ourselves. We feel centered. We get centered. We get into a position where, like the Sydney restaurant owner can say, okay, this is my line in the sand. This is where I stand, without fear or favour. And that then leads into practices that are focused on things that matter. And so your practice then will reflect that. Your practice will show that, and your practice members will have that acceptance and that guidance. Regardless of which camp they come from, and the profession then can take the line in the sand. And this is the challenge that we're being faced with in some areas, some jurisdictions around the world, where the profession is being asked to do things that are against their viewpoint. So you've got to look for this third way. And so humanity ultimately is about personal sovereignty, and that is what chiropractic has always stood for. It's about the individual. It's about the sanctity of the individual, and that brings hope. That brings an energy of possibility to people's lives and for the future. And seeing this as just a transitory stage in the development of humankind then allows us to be excited about where we're at and what we're about and what our contribution is. So, look, if you'd like to join with like-minded chiropractors, if you'd like to take advantage of this particular situation as an opportunity and turn your anger, your frustration into something that's proactive and positive and contributing, then give us a yell. PM me. Love to have a chat and to see how we can help and support and challenge you in this amazing time in the development of humanity.